The gentleman joining me now, you may not recognize his face, you may recognize his name, Tom Dunlay, but you're certain to recognize some of the work that he's done. Tom's known, at least around Norwood, for painting probably three of the most iconic Norwood paintings. The one on the common with the, is it three boys?
Yes, three boys with hockey bags and sticks.
And then you've got like a view from
Manhattan Street looking up towards the town hall and the churches.
Towards the church and
Right,
the town hall.
exactly.
And then also the old Norwood High School.
The old high school.
So welcome, Tom.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jack. Great to be here.
So, you know, tell us a little bit about how'd you get started in the artist business?
Well, my beginning was, much like many people. My father was an amateur painter, so I was very influenced by that at a young age. When I went to high school, I took the regular art courses. When I graduated, I was going to go on to just a regular college, get a regular undergraduate degree, but at the last minute I decided to go to art school. So I went to Mass College of Art, but when I arrived, it wasn't what I wanted at all. At that time, it was very modern, not the kind of place for me. I had a much more traditional predisposition. So I searched for a teacher, and after 18 months, I finally found my teacher, and it happened to be in Boston after searching the whole country. His name was R.H. Ives Gamble, okay. And I worked with him in an apprenticeship type program for 6.5, 7 years.
All right, we'll get back to him later.
Okay.
I just want to, some of the things that you've done, there's some pictures, especially downtown Boston.
Right.
I shouldn't say pictures, they're paintings, they're not pictures.
No, they are pictures, yeah.
And so some of them have been quite successful at fundraising for some groups, so tell us about that.
Well, one of the things I've always done is I've always made my images available to various groups, for fundraising. We do have a print business where we sell our prints commercially, but I've always had a fond spot for charity. And in particular, Norwood and Charlie Donahue, who you're going to be speaking with a little later, a number of years ago, he commissioned these three paintings, these three images of Norwood, and they've become very iconic images. But what I love about this particular project is that, Charlie wanted to do something special for his parents, and he set up a scholarship fund for the high school in memory of his parents, and all proceeds and sales and profits from the sale of these prints goes to that charity. And I've done this with numerous charities, Boston College, Rosie's Place in Boston, and basically any organization that ever requests a print, for fundraising purposes.
I know there's always one at the Friends of St. Nick as one of the prizes.
Yeah. We never say no, and we're delighted to help when we can.
Yeah. So now, what are you doing now? I mean, you're still painting, obviously, but
well, I paint all the time. I'm a full-time painter. I have a studio at my home in Westwood, but I'm very, very pleased with this school that has come about at the Winsmith Mill down on Endicott Street. About a year and a half ago, I took some space there, and it happened to be Perfect North Light Studios. And what I've done is I've opened up not an art school. That's not the proper word for it. An art school implies that it's a place you go and people teach classes, or you take a variety of lessons and whatnot. What I'm doing is I'm running what's called an atelier, and I'm teaching painting the way it was taught 120 years ago in the late 19th century in Europe. And there's only 2 or 3 places in the country and in Europe also where people are doing exactly what I'm doing. And all of it actually stems from my teacher, R.H. Ives Gamble.
That's what I was going to get to. That you're sort of duplicating what he taught you.
I'm continuing the tradition. He was born in 1893. He studied with a number of very famous Boston painters, Frank Benson, Edmund Tarbell, most of all William McGregor Paxton, who was a pupil of a very famous French painter by the name of Gérôme, Jean-Léon Gérôme. All of the works of these men you'd recognize, from any art history book. But about 110 years ago, this whole tradition, with the advent of modernism, the World War I, the Depression, and all of these social influences, was in great danger of going away. The knowledge was actually on the verge of being completely lost. So my teacher, R.H. Ives Gamble, dedicated the second half of his life to continuing this type of teaching. As you can see, from the video that Jack took here of the studios, these are a number of my students actually working in the studio. It's a Northlight Daylight studio. And what they're doing is they're actually learning to draw. But more importantly, it's actually not. They're not really learning to draw, they're learning to see. And the plaster cast that they're working from and how they're transferring what they see in nature to the paper. It's a knowledge that has to be acquired through criticism, through the knowledge of someone that knows more than you and can teach you how to see. And that's what we're doing down there. And we have a wide variety of students. I have a couple of full-time students who are working incredibly diligently. Painting the cast, drawing the cast. We also paint the landscape. The picture right now on the screen is my student Dan, who is, this is a painting of the Charles River that he was working on. Quite advanced and quite good. We have several part-time students. The gentleman right now, John Morgan, he's actually an oral surgeon who went to Boston University originally to study painting, but was in the same situation I was. He was very dissatisfied, so he left the School of Art and became an oral surgeon, and now he's back studying with me, doing what he loves most. But what we're doing down there is we're teaching people to see, teaching them how to render nature as it really appears. The tradition goes back. I mean, my teacher actually knew Claude. He met Claude Monet. He actually went to the opera with John Singer Sargent, one of the most famous American painters ever. And the quote above the doorway, "To the painter born or unborn who shall lift the art of painting from the low estate to which it has fallen, these studios are hopefully dedicated," is a quote from my teacher, a very important book that he wrote called Twilight of Painting, and that's what we're doing. So, if someone, is interested, what I do is not for everybody, but if someone is seriously interested in the traditional approach to painting and learning how to actually draw rather than just being told, express yourself, we might be able to help you.
And so where is it in Winsmith? Is it, which building?
It's building number 25, so when you come down to Endicott Street and you bear to the left at the mill pond, you'll see a building 25 right on your right. There's big black windows, which are the studio windows. You go in the double door and up the staircase. But you could, look me up online, message me, through Facebook or my website with thomasrdunlay.com, and we'd be happy to talk to anybody.
Okay, great.
Especially young people.
So in many ways, you're giving back, right?
Exactly. I was very fortunate. The man I studied with, he was very wealthy and didn't have to charge his students, but he was on a mission to keep this craft alive, this type of painting, the knowledge of this type of painting, because it virtually would have gone away. And the only obligation was at some point in our own careers when we were able to take on the responsibility of passing it on to another generation. And then that's what we're doing here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
great fun. I can tell you enjoy it. You're very
we love it.
About
It's very exciting. And what's wonderful is that, to help people, develop skills and, achieve things that they, in many cases, didn't think they were capable of.
All right, so what I want to do while I have you here is just dispel these rumors, I should say. We're going to make a lot of people unhappy because I have met so many people who are convinced that their children or their nephew or their whatever are the characters in that painting that you did on the common, the gazebo painting.
Right.
So
exactly.
we're going to reveal right now.
It's not a surprise to some people, but it's actually Charlie Donahue's three boys.
Yeah.
At that time, they were very involved in youth hockey, and we had selected that scene to paint, and it made great sense to add some animation to the picture. So I called on Charlie, and the boys came over and posed with their bags, and we put them in.
Great. So sorry to all those people who thought it was someone you knew in there. Maybe you do know these boys. How long ago did you paint that?
I think that goes back probably a good 20 years
Yeah.
now. I mean, it seems like yesterday, but
Right.
it's 18 to 20 years ago, minimum.
Well, thank you so much for
Oh,
being
my
with
pleasure,
us.
Jack.